Hi. Just want to give it a minute or so for it to circulate, I should say. Hi. Hi. Love the name. Were you around in the 60s when that movement, what was amazing when that first sort of awakening came through, what they called the hippie movement, they look at the same sort of thing now, you know, the woke and whatever else, but it really was. And it was that energy was the first surge of energy that went around the planet. It was amazing. And you felt, I remember in the 70s, you felt so united, such love. There was this peace. You were running around like wanting to sing peace and love songs. Like that energy carried on into the 70s. That love, that peace, that sort of unity. It was really, really a beautiful movement. Like this whole love, yeah. That was kind of like the taster of what was to come. Like now, you know. And I remember the reaction from the people in those days. Exactly, oh, they're lazy, they don't want to work. Yeah, but it was just exactly unconscious. It was a lot denser energy. Anyway, we're all waking up. Because there's only the one, and it's one field, is not separate. That's what I say. So that's exactly. Hi, hello. So we all. This is just. I just want to say one thing. Is I just saw some of my, you know, those replay things like last year's, whatever, whenever, on this day, whatever it was, and then there was some. I remember it often happens though, where people contact you on their awakening journey and they haven't seen the truth yet. So you're still seeking to be one with Source. It's only because you haven't seen that you actually are. They really, when they say there's only one here, there's not a joke. There really is no one living this life. There's only this emptiness. You know, and it's got like an appearance of you, this body and form. There's not a solid form here. So people still think they have to merge with God. You are God. There's no getting out of this. The body, this is your dream. The body's in the dream for you to wake up and to realize who you are, that you're not the body. That's all it is. So there's a lot of fear, people thinking, oh my gosh, I'm not going to wake up. I'm not this, as though you've got it somewhere to go. You are ready. So I can't stress this more. I just want to put people's mind at ease. You are already the divine. That emptiness, look in the mirror, that empty void, but looking through those eyes is you. The real you. You are God itself. Everything here is one field. This is why the whole field, the whole planet is waking up, really. Just at different levels of its awakening. So at the moment, as I say, it can look rather, wow. And it can be sad sometimes because you know it's you. And you know it's just unawakened. Those that are not awake, they're so stuck in their patterns, in those loops of behavior, mind patterns, real. It's all programmed. You hear it spewing out sometimes. It's very sad. You see people, especially elderly, Victorian, there's so many. Anyway, so this is those that are fully awake, pretty much see all this. And you wouldn't do it. I mean, you just wouldn't do any of this sort of behavior. You know that because you wouldn't cause harm to another. You wouldn't seek to cause suffering to, any of this kind of thing. It's going to go. We know that. So there's no trying to profit off somebody else and, anything. It's just, wow. It's so bizarre. So all of the whole system, when you look outside and you see it and you're like, punishment. That's what made this one sad the other day, funny enough. It was media at the moment as well. Not recommended. Any social media or any platform at the moment. It really isn't recommended to scroll. Just not wise. It's going to... There's a lot of projection, a lot of unawakened behavior. Fear, projection, just seriously, I just don't recommend it at all in any way. Just taking in anything from the outside at the moment because it's just, wow, as we say. So the other day, if you understand it's the self, and that's why you get sad, because you're just like, you realize it's just karmic loops. Purely the consciousness of God is one mind. is just those patterns. They're so dense, and it's replaying whatever it's inherited patterns, loops, behaviors. It's just those things are playing, whatever it learned. Like it's Victorian. A lot of it comes, from the Victorian. Anyway, patterns, programs in the story, the human's history, as everyone knows. So this is the surprise that came here, is that you were scrolling through media and you saw the Prime Minister of a country saying, thinking it's a good thing. This is, anyway, we see it from a different level. This is what we're going to talk about, from the higher level, not from an unconscious level. From an awakened level, how you see it. You see, it's a very different ball game. So this is what I'm asking, is for people to make videos on your own platforms yourselves, to talk about the solutions, the higher consciousness, to share the picture from the higher level. So that goes into remember, there's only one mind here. There's only one mind. There's no separate consciousnesses, separate. This is an illusion that you are a separate person with your own thoughts. Those are just programs and patterns that consciousness has to, work out itself. It's like a puzzle. You have to work your own puzzle up to realize, that you are the divine itself, and clear the bullshit that's being fed in your program. That's all it is. These avatars are holding programs. But you really are God itself. You don't have to get there. That's the thing, is to clear all the bullshit so you can realize I am the divine and I'm not all this bullshit. That I'm running around programmed, or I thought I was, or the body has, or whatever, this little character that you're playing here, is to clear it up. And that's what all the thoughts are. And this is just what's being projected. So what I'm asking is to share, the solutions like we see, like for how we could better do. See, we're grown up in an unawakened thing where there's them and us fear, because you don't know that you are God and you are not separate. Your perception that this world is and everything's other and bad is how it's then perceived. So how it appears, literally. So, it's because you, as God claiming it's bad people, and this is what I'm saying. You just got to clear all the bullshit out. Empty all the programs, every knowledge, all the crap that was programmed into the thing, which is the moment, the collective. So it's just to share the solutions. So like the other day, this is what surprised this one. And I don't know if some of you remember, when you were even being little, you just see things now and you're like, wow. And I remember as a kid thinking like, what is wrong with this place? What is wrong with humanity? Because then you were like, how can we just not, doing this behavior again? And, you're looking at all the suffering, you think, well, why are we repeating it? Because this is what I'm saying. You see everything now and you realize everything we're doing is backwards. Like teaching history, thinking it's a good thing by teaching, like these children, like this one was like, what? I mean, horrified. I was just absolutely trying to solve the puzzle of why they would do it again. You were fed all these wars and thinking it's a good thing. But if now you understand the mind, the biological thing is a program. So as the Buddha's always said, what you want to put in is beautiful, whole, clean, nice, so loving, empowering, positive. So here it dawned, actually seeing that, realizing that, as a young child, you were fed World War I and World War II. And I mean, you just looked at all this crap and you couldn't believe what people would do to each other. So I'm saying, could you imagine now you are programmed from a young child, shown the worst things of society, and then you expect it to feel safe and not think that's separate and that's going to harm. You see those body and you think, oh my gosh. So if a child was born into a planet and not given any of this, barbaric behavior, and we did that, and we did this, and in those days they did, people, I think we don't, that's what I'm saying, you're constantly fed this distorted history of what, so you come here as a little child, innocent and free, and mind is not polluted with any violence. If the child was never shown violence and seen it, it's naturally, because you are God, born loving, kind, you know what I mean? Unless it's programmed and treated otherwise. So this is the patterns of the self-healing, as everyone knows. You wake up and you're going to do your healing because your family, parents, were seriously, everyone carries these very dysfunctional things. So, of course, hurt people is what I'm saying. So that's what I realized. I thought, oh my gosh, could you imagine a child coming to this planet? Now, looking at all this, you've shown the most horrendous things that people did to each other, and you're thinking, wow, if that doesn't put it in your mind, you see, that this is okay. In this society, people kill each other, and the contradictions. When you're on this path, we're understanding the contradiction. We have so much contradictory information being programmed. And all these things do are carry programs. This is all that's happening. And that's why the world looks like it does. And people don't realize this is what we're doing. You are feeding all this shit into people's minds. And the mind replays it, the movie. This is what carries on being projected and expected. So I just thought about that. If a child comes here and has never seen violence and shown the most horrendous things of all these wars, and they did that, and he did this, and whatever, thinking it's going to stop it. It never, I think that one you can see, as we know, it's never stopped it. Because now we have a better understanding on consciousness, if you wake up, and what our reality is created, and the mind, and what, feeding it and affirmations. So everything that was done before is completely backwards, like discipline, like telling someone, you got to behave to be good, and all this kind of thing. Backwards, like, almost like treating them like, they're not good, and showing them, look, this is what can you imagine a little child? It's actually, you think, holy shit, this is not a safe planet to live on. Look what people do to each other. Like, it was just mind-blowing. I was just I couldn't understand, how come they couldn't resolve this? How come they had another world war? I was like, what? You really were perturbed. You were trying to figure out, this one's, it's childhood, but I was just trying to understand, why do people do this to each other, and, whatever. So these things, like when I saw now, this scammers are going to be whipped, caned with something like that. Just the fact, this is kind of going right back, really back in our history. That's what I'm saying. You see these subconscious patterns. And I'm thinking, what? We are caning people in 2025, like with a whip. And I don't know if anyone's ever experienced this public caning. I have. I've physically seen it. It's not pleasant. It's not a play. And that's why you think, how could you do that? Whoop someone, else. Honestly, it's what I'm saying, because we really don't realize we have grown up with history. Biggest problem ever. History. Delete. Poof. As those, I think, would awaken, would understand, no, we do not want to remind people of the atrocities, and this is all you're seeing. This is what I'm saying, you see, and they did this. You're constantly feeding again. Oh my gosh, there was this, and there was slavery, and there was that, and you are programming us into a clean mind. A baby comes in clean, love, no fear, doesn't understand, and telling them that violence is okay. It's condoned because your government does it. That's what I'm saying. You see, this is a contradiction, and the split where the mind splits, as people know now. When you've got a contradictory information, now when you're working with energy, the body, because it's got two directions. So one, you're told you're not allowed to harm another, and you can go to jail, and if you kill and whatever else. But then you are growing up with movies like James Bond, glorified. The government has special agents that go around killing people, and this is the elite job. So do you understand the psychological subconscious programming? This is what I'm saying. When you wake up, all of this stuff becomes so apparent. It's like, holy shit. I mean, I was like looking at this and thinking, what are we doing? So you're growing up with a kid and watching all these movies about James Bond and how wonderful. Oh, it's great to be a killer working for the government, you see. So you see the contradiction. So if you work for the government and kill people, this is really what we're doing, programming our children from day one. And government, it's okay. Then you go home, but you're not allowed to do it to others. You understand? But you see, there's a contradiction in the mind, the split, even in the energy. It's okay to kill. It's not okay to kill. No, it's not. And then we can't understand why society looks like that, because you're telling a child that death to kill another is okay, actually, because you do it. The government does it. It's sanctioned. You see. So really, we are really putting some very, and the awakened person wouldn't do that. I mean, you just wouldn't even consider punishing them, because you understand now is that the harm they're doing is program, is coming down from ancestry, and as you know, all the work you do, the shadow work, the trauma, all of the shit that your great grandparents and your grandmother had, and because they, grew up in Victorian times and children were seen and not heard, and we've had to work through it. You've had to work through so much bullshit to get rid of it. So, that's what I was saying. I was realizing, what are we doing? Because a beautiful child comes in here with a clean program, no distortion. If they were never shown violence or killing, like never mind our movies, Hollywood's probably the worst. It shows you the trauma. See, being reflected in the mirror, because the military became a massive thing. It was huge. It just war, and it just kept getting worse. And it was in our movies, constantly surrounded by violence. And then the government can't understand why the society became more violent. Our news, is showing you the most dramatic. Anyone awakens just can see this. I think even a shrink would see that. So I was just thinking, wow. It's like delete. Well, just this whole idea of punishment. We really got to understand the mind and programming it, and the behavior and examples. No punishment, violence is okay. No, none of this is okay. But all awakened beings, nobody would consider doing it. And we have those that are containing programs of distortion, of suffering, or whatever. And if they've had enough, if they don't wake up insight, we should. To get this planet through the whole awakening, as everyone's going to, the thing here is to try and assist people through this awakening. Or, you would think, it's just, it's like, have like centers where, you free, where we've got centers where public, because this whole world's going through it, we can see, can go in there and get readings and get like hypnotherapy and get psychic, whatever, all of these things, and basically guidance free, where you can go and do Tai Chi, this and that, so we can actually help them. Like, it's like a system, like a school, funnel them through the system, to help them work out all of these distortions and things, so we can slowly minimize the, wow. Because here, I was just thinking, wow, if you look out there, it's just, and then of course you've got those that are in power, in fear, because they've denied, the people, haven't listened to the people. They've only entertained companies. You saw this. The government talks to companies. The councils only will speak to your company. They only ever. It's almost so they can't understand why there's a lot of angry, frustrated people, because there's no one has ever. It's like the program they're running is only to recognize companies. That's it. People, as though this is what I'm saying. People are not realizing the programs they're carrying. That I see that very clearly with government officials, and it's because it became such a big thing. And even the councils, all government sort of departments, let's say, are so programmed to only, and other companies to actually will only entertain, even if you phone them. Watch, they will not. So sorry, who are you? Who are you phoning from? Where are you phoning from? You see, it's companies, but forgetting the entire society is backed by people. Not Jeff Bezos would be penniless if it wasn't for every single person using it and buying and selling. So there's just this whole thing where the governments do not even speak to the people, listen to them, as though there's only a few businesses that matter, that we take their money or their advice from, and bugger the 99% of the population. And then they can't understand why the 99% of the population are now angry, because everything's all revolved around business. And they're frustrated and angry, and then they now want to get upset and, riot and everything else. And you're like, the same with protests. Hi, Tina. People, please give me this is very interesting. Protests, they are dysfunctional. You realize energy. Because if you think about it, I just think, well, it's a very, it's a bizarre thing. They don't make any sense anymore. You look at them, right? And if you know what energy you give off is what you get back. So if you go to this is what I'm saying, it's pure frustration, people. It's because they're not being heard. So if governments had an outlet where they could actually have a round table, that's what I was thinking. Please, people, share your ideas of all kinds. Yeah, or have conversations on your platforms where we can actually get. But it's so needed. This is why they can't understand the whole economy and everything is based on people. The consumers, the masses really make up everything. Without any business would collapse. Everyone's business will collapse. But they completely exclude and I'm saying that, oh my God. So everything's been skewed to business. And then the people have only got, basically, as I say, they think this is what I'm saying, program again. Oh, you just got to protest, but that's completely crazy. If you think about protesting, I'm just thinking, it's like, why? Because all you're doing is running down there and saying, I don't like this, and I don't. You see, the energy is also wrong. You're giving off, you say, because there's no outlet, because there's no one listening. But they from an energetic standpoint and a manifestation standpoint, it's having the opposite effect. So what happens? The government's like, they completely ignore them. Anyway, they don't listen to them. All they're doing is running around. We don't like this, we don't like that, whatever. They don't listen at all, pay any attention to them. So I'm saying it's so bizarre. There's such a disconnect here. I think protests are very outdated. The energy, especially there's people angry, whatever else, and complaining, that gets you nowhere because it's agitation energy, only breeds more agitation. Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's different, but still, all you're doing is renting your own thing. But is anyone listening to you? That's the thing. You see, if you're going to go down the street and it'll make you feel good, dance and sing, that's great. But is it solving anything? That's what I'm saying. Where is the outlet where we have a government for the people, where the actual people can actually be heard and listened to? This is hugely thing. If they had like their local halls, government, wherever they have local town halls, whatever. But they need to hold the actual meetings regularly and actually listen to the people. Because they actually think the people haven't got any common sense or any good ideas or any business sense or anything. So it's almost like literally you phone. I mean, you're sometimes baffled, like here, even with the councils, and you see some of the things and behavior because they also old people in same patterns. They've had them in the same positions. We got so much. Wow, it's just that's what I'm saying. They're just people holding programs, and you see like some really not so clever things, and you're like, and you try, and you give a good, but there's no way for you to give the ideas because you cannot address a government or a council unless you're a company. And the companies only think of themselves. So it's like this cycle. Wow. So you're seeing all of this and you're just like, wow. I mean, it is. It doesn't make any sense to protest. I just think it's silly because the whole energy, the whole thing is, you know what I mean? If you look at it from an energetic and manifestation point of view, doesn't work as it's clearly seen. But yeah, there is a lack of seeing the people, listening to the people. The programs there are not, you can see the people are not seen at all. They're ignored. They just don't honestly think, it's like they just don't notice them as though they're not. But if you think about it, there is no economy or anything without the people. There's not even a consumer. Nobody. No one to work for you, no one to buy your stuff, no one to sell your stuff to, nobody. No robot needs your goods and services or, needs anything, needs medical care, needs whatever, Wow. So there's just amazement. I'm sure any of you here. Yeah, and I was thinking about this. I was just thinking like that thing. I just thought, oh my God, how can we be whipping people in 2025? How can we still think punishing someone is going to change anything? And you were like, because you're just reinforcing it. I was just like, the stuff, as I'm saying, it's like, wow. The suffering and the punishment and you think that's going to solve a problem. Not at all. Not one bit. You've got Buddhists going around the prisons and doing more good. So please, people, I don't know. I mean, I know there's so much. It's just really just like, wow, if you just look out their schools and you realize how our schools were, children are already taught not to trust themselves. You know, they can't go to the toilet. They're not allowed to go to the toilet when their body needs to. It's conditional love. You know, if you do that, you'll get a star. If you do, so you can see that we are the patterning and programming. It's just like throughout our everything is just, especially schools. Actually, there's nothing. Yeah, if you're awake, you realize everything. What we're doing is just like, wow, backwards. You go to school, you have to listen to the teacher. It's like discipline, same thing, punishment. It's a conditional reward. If you do that, your behavior, I'll give you a star. You can't be spoken until you see same thing seen and not heard. Unless the teacher tells you can't get the toilet. I mean, it's not funny. You can't have a drink when they need it. So the child's taught to ignore its body and ignore its needs. You're not important unless you do what I like and when I like. I mean, everything. Especially like this punishment thing. I'm just thinking, we can't tell people. We've got so much dysfunction, and then we can't understand why there's so much dysfunction out there. There's contradictory programs running throughout. It's mind-boggling, actually, what we're doing. Mind-boggling. There's like a complete clean slate. There's nothing that actually, school system, what it's telling the child, it should be telling the children to encourage them to listen to their bodies, their needs, respect, you know what I mean? And you're worthy, you're wonderful as you are, you're clever, you're intelligent, you're bright, you're deserving, you're this and that. Not, now it's like, no, you mustn't do that. Because, if you study that, you might not do well, and it's not going to make our school look good. So we don't want you to study. I mean, it's incredible, the stuff now. It's all about what they want and not what the kids need or want. It's just mind-boggling, all this stuff. As I say, even how we treat, as I say, people that are doing something wrong, instead of looking why, let's get rid of the programs. Why are they doing that? And if they went through this whole process, in healing and hypnosis and, whatever, therapies, whatever else, psychics, whatever they need to uncover all those patterns and programs and ancestry nonsense, energies, and clean it and clear it, you know what I mean? So they're not going to come back anyway and do it again in another body. This is, you just think, wow, help them. It's so much. Sorry, this is just, who knows what's coming out here. It's just coming out. But like everything, like you see now, they're trying to, in this country, they're trying to sneakily do away with, they say council tax, but it's not. They're trying to get people to vote for this thing, which is not going to do away with council tax, change council tax, but actually they want to get rid of social care. So they'll dump all of these people out of social care, do away with human rights and all kinds of, the human rights thing under another little sneak back door. Take away human rights instead of making them stronger. So people are kind of, even now, I look at this and I see a lot of people being affected by this projection going on out there that the world's damaged and we're doomed and all this sort of thing. So people are running around thinking that they are actually, there's another thing people are unaware of. People are spreading this. So you can actually see it in people's behavior, traumatized. They traumatize people to think the world's destroyed and we've destroyed it and you're bad. Exactly. You see this program running? That goes back. You can recognize these going back into the churches. This is human patterns running. So now it's being portrayed somewhere else. Now you are wrong. You are like a plague to be on the planet because you've destroyed the planet. So now you're getting people taking in beliefs and programs that they've done something wrong. They've destroyed the planet. They don't deserve to be here. Humans are like a smite, like a disease, like you're like a virus to the planet. And not understanding, no, you are God itself. You're not separate from the planet. The planet's not separate from you. Everyone is equal. You, the planet, the bird, the bee, the sand is the same one. So how, you know what I mean? Where now they are already, see that thing, you're not deserving, you're human, there's something wrong with you, you did something wrong, whatever. This is going back a lot of it's to do with our spiritual and religious programming. But the same thing, you're unworthy, you're deserving, you've done something wrong, you've destroyed the planet, the planet's all. people are traumatized, thinking, no, that they don't deserve to be here, that we look what we've done. It's nothing to do with it, because it's all the same one. God is the animal, is the tree, is you, is the rock, there's no separate. You are not unworthy. This is terrible programming. People are being traumatized as well, like this, projecting this. So you are saying the world is broken and thing, and so will the world appear to be, because it's a consciousness, non-physical manifestation, mind projection. So we also don't realize that we're doing, it's like any manifestation. We are basically, there's no such thing, because there's nothing set, there's nothing matter here. So you've got I see a lot of people, the things you see going around, and you think, wow. So people are thinking that, that's what I'm saying. They've got programs, and they projecting it out there. Oh my gosh, look what you've done, and you destroyed the planet, and humans are like a disease. They're not a disease. You are God. And if people start knowing that and waking up to the fact that I am that and everything is that, humans have an immense capacity, because that's what you're doing, creating this, to completely heal the waters, animals, the planet, as we did before. So humans are a massive asset to absolutely, completely change everything. You have that power to heal, to do all these things. You know what I mean? To fix, to manifest, to heal, to send energy, to change, absolutely change it. So with this whole thing that the world is doomed and the planet's doomed is absolute bullshit. There's another thing. So all of this, I don't know anyway. But I suppose anyone that's fully awake knows that. But wow. Sorry, this is just all coming out, sharing. So like you're out there, and it's like a task is kindness. You sit here and you're like with your mouth open and thinking, well, everything you're seeing out there is like the wrong, it's more clamped down, more control, more fear, more, instead of the opposite. And you're like, well, you're just shaking your head. It's like, wow, no, start putting up centers, and there's psychics in there, and have these QRH people, and a Tai Chi, and a this teacher, and a yoga teacher. Free, let them come in. You have malls, let them come in. Get a reading, find out, whatever your ancestry thing is. You might lie on the bed, let's get you going. Let's get you, we should help them. Instead now, people, if you put them into suffering, and then they fear. So let's just sorry people, but you look at all this and you're like, wow, now you want to put more people into poverty and suffering, and then of course you're going to have more unrest because of fear. If you put people into survival, they're going to behave like that. We need to alleviate that. If everyone had what they call it, universal basic income or something, and housing for anyone awakened, this would just be the normal world. Food, housing, water, like the basic needs of a person would be free, absolutely free. Any council tax, just like what? That's something back from that's a program coming down from our rulers. That's nonsense. You shouldn't be paying tax on the planet you live on. You are the planet. There's no separate beings, no separate you. So to pay tax is like, you got to pay tax to live on your own place. Just insanity. So the fact, but food free, completely free to all. I think we used to do it. Everyone will be participating in it. Free water, free food, electricity, the basics should be absolutely free. So nobody, you wouldn't need police. There'd be no crime, no shortage, no poverty. So you're alleviating survival. That's it. And then what are they going to do? They have no fear, no threats, no survival. So they've got all their basic needs met, or medical, that should be all of it free. And now the people can actually, because you've got no pressure on them, willingly contribute to society. Could you imagine if you got a free home, food, water, which is, hello, so this is what amazes you. Well, free water, food, electricity, the basics, completely free for everybody. It's just, that's it. It's a basic human need. It's a survival. Yeah. And then you've got people that have no fear, no threat. That's already illnesses and all the other problems done away with, and psychological and family problems and stress and abuse. And I mean, you're going to eliminate an enormous amount of anything, never mind crime or any other problems. It's just gone. And now you've got people that are going to grow up balanced, feeling safe, if welcome on their own planet, not feeling like a scourge or whatever. It's one world. And actually, okay, what do I want to do? And they will naturally, be contributing. Whether they're helping with all the, because we can all help towards our own free produce, growing our own food, whatever. But it just baffles you, all of this sort of stuff. And then, you know what I mean? Now you want to do it away, and then you can understand why there's crime and violence and protest. Why? Because it's fear. Survival. It's just natural. You're putting them in that situation. So then, of course, now you want to just clamp down. I mean, it's just like this, it's just like this hamster wheel, and you look at all this insanity, and you just, wow. Just, I don't know. There's just here, you can't see being awake. Please speak up, anyone that's awake here. Being awake, you wouldn't do that. I mean, you would not consider a government or voting or participating or even desiring. I mean, it just feels natural to you. It goes against anything that you would even think of, that housing, you should pay anything to live on your planet. That's just gone. House is a guarantee. Food is a guarantee. Water is a guarantee. Electricity. Whatever you need. The basic needs to thrive, to survive, are just absolutely done. A guarantee. All society, every being on the planet, no matter what country, no matter what borders and things, are gone. And then it's just, you're really free to really, follow your passions, your skills, your desires. And some people are greatly, look at them, they blossom, especially when they're kids. Because they're not told, no, you can't do that, you must study this, you need to go to that, and that's what I'm saying. We're trying to funnel them, like last time, industrial really, funnel them into this. Let them all be doctors. No, they must all be plumbers. No, they must all be, whatever. God's sake, it's insanity. It's like you couldn't imagine, you don't see it. It just doesn't compute to do that. You wouldn't. I mean, so you can imagine how society would change. And you would absolutely, because you see them as yourself, as divine, as perfect. And you're going to bring them up in that way, you know what I mean, in society. So no one will be hungry. No one's going to have any stress, any of that basic survival fears at all. You'll have a very stable, safe, secure. So you're going to, you know what I mean? It's just, wow. It's mind-boggling, actually. Obviously, you wouldn't have borders. I mean, any of these things. It's just no separation. No one to fight with. No countries, no separate currencies, none of that. No, eliminate all reasons to fight. Because there's no one now, they haven't got something you have. If you all shared our resources and all shared, I mean, we've discussed all that one. I talked about that whole thing of the main things is just insanity. And that completely, you've eliminated all reasons and causes for any conflict completely. Because there's no economic conflict if there's only one currency. There's no borders, so there's no other country. So, and if you all shared your resources, and this one, as I said before, that country has this country has that. So, but it's shared equally, whatever the needs are among the whole planet. There's no one to overthrow, no one's currency to rig and dominate, no invasion for whatever, I need this, because you know what I mean, no trade needed, no trade laws needed, none of these. It would eliminate borders, it would eliminate all these trade deals, any need for anything, because there's only one government, there's only one world, one currency. So who are you going to go to war with? No military then, because there's no borders, no us and them, no separate person. Nothing to take. Because if it's all shared equally, why would you even go there? Because, it's just absolutely mind-boggling, all of this craziness on a piece of fruit. And you just say, yeah. Sorry, but that's That's all you can see. Nothing else makes sense. You know what I mean? You look at all this and you think, it wouldn't happen. Literally, it wouldn't happen. When when everyone wakes up, it's not going to happen. But now you watch this sort of early thing and you think, okay, to try and eliminate suffering, not add to it by making more people into threat and into poverty, into survival and whatever, just, there's other, they don't matter, they do matter because it's not other. They are your, workforce, your whole, whatever, just, well, is by helping these people. We need to actually assist people. All of these things should be available to people and put them in and basic, so there's no survival thing. And with this transition goes, so could you imagine if there was no people fearing for survival? All your basic needs are met. Problems, no stress, no anger, no violence, no poverty, no crime, no all that kind of stuff. And half the diseases are gone because now you've taken most of the stress away from them. And now we're going to give, make available, can you imagine how fast we'd move through the shift, all the facilities to assist us through this awakening process. As you know, the dark night of the soul, and it can take years, those that are on it. Healing and purging and clearing and the physical stuff and the energy, it's a huge time thing. But that's what I'm saying, it wouldn't be, that's what I'm saying. It's here. As one field, this is what I say. I know it's something else. You look out there and you see, it's almost like the opposite going on. What is actually needed. It's what I'm saying, is because you cannot see as they say, frequencies. The solution, if you're not awake, you're on a very different frequency. So you have access to different frequency, different information, whatever. This is what the live was about. Please spread. Because if you're awake, you have access to the higher knowledge and wisdom, and you can see the end result, and you're like, any of this is just like, wow, it's just, you just see pain and suffering, and by doing that, all they do is inflict more pain and suffering on those people, which of course, so we have more trauma, more unhealed, you are just inflicting more. So that means those people now carry more energy, more density that they need. There's no getting away from this because the entire planet's going to wake up. Everybody. So we're either going to make humanity's awakening a lot harder and the shift and people, make it more difficult. You don't want to inflict. The easier we make it for people to move through this, the less trauma, the quicker they can process all this and get out the other side, whoopee, we are okay. But the more shit we add on people, that means it's going to take longer because the more they need to, as you know, when you wake up, release and clear and heal from, you know what I mean? So this is why, anyone that can, share it. Share the solutions out there. This is, you automatically would, because that's just, the veil, the shit's been moved. So it's love. You wouldn't even consider inflicting harm and suffering or poverty or anything on anybody else. Because it is you, and you affect the whole field. You're affecting the entire field's energy. There's no separation. The whole earth's energy, the whole, everything. So it's your, you suffer as well. There's not like separate. That's the illusion. There's nothing separate here at all. Not even a country. The entire energy of the planet, everything is one. Every being in here, every animal in here is the same energy. Is the same field. It's not separate. And this is why everyone feels this. It's moving through the field, all this grief and things, and when others, there's really never been any separate anything. So the more the government, in their fear and projections and whatever, or, puts out there, and more people into all we're doing is actually prolonging it. The whole planet's, awakening, suffering, energy. It affects, it's just, Wow. Yes, just, yeah. It's just, wow, you speechless actually. You just think about it, because you realize if there's those that are awake in power, whole thing will shift. It would be completely different, because you'd be doing everything that is going to benefit the whole society, because we know the sooner we get everybody whole, healed, and awake, the whole planet, whole healed people start healing others, start, healing the planet and sending energy to the animals and doing this and contributing, as you see when they wake up, love and this and that. They help. The whole planet lives. Happiness, peace, heaven on earth, thriving, whatever. But so the last thing we want to do is put people into more suffering, poverty, illness, whatever, stress, any of these things. They already have. That's what I'm saying. These people, a lot of people, you can see, are huge density before you wake up. They have a lot of ancestry, trauma, poverty. This is from the humanities history, which is, wow. You just go anywhere and you can just see it. And you listen to people when they talk. You're out in the public. Yeah, you can just, wow, it's sad, yeah. You can see, as I'm saying, these patterns have they're so ingrained in the schools and everything. It's so dysfunctional. But if you're not awake, you cannot see the dysfunction at all. I just see, as I'm saying, this hamster wheel, this pattern, a loop, and it's so sad. You just not realizing it's not like, some of us can be better than, no. There's no separate, there's no separate energy here. There's not like your little energy on your planet is separate. This little bit over here is, the entire field is one field of energy. One. That's it. One plane, one, yeah. Anyway. And you're seeing going on out there and you're like, no, don't add more collective trauma to the collective, that, you know what I mean? And especially when you're talking about the masses, this is what I'm saying. You don't realize the few are then inflicting suffering on the masses is not what you want to do. Because that's a lot of people holding a lot of negative energy and trauma and anger and fear, and you're putting them into survival. Not a good idea at all. You really got to help those, actually. There's a huge amount of people now in poverty and suffering. Those are the people we actually need to get them out of that initial phase. So you would think, put up these centers and have these people, it's it, you go through there. Get them on these, whatever, what was it, universal thing, income or something. I mean, it's just so simple. You look at all these things, but when you've got such programs running, that's what I'm saying, the mind, in that mind space, oh, wow. That program is just like this. And it's, as you know, you cannot see through that's what I'm saying. They cannot see the solution. The frequency is just like, and the solution is not there. That consciousness is not, it's not open to them. So I hope many people can start sharing ideas, but constructively, out there. Because that's what I'm saying. Suffering is everybody suffers because there's only the one. And it's karmic patterns, and they suffer because they are source. That's what they didn't realize. They're stuck in karmic loops. They're carrying this energy. You see those patterns because if you understand the history, you can see it coming back. Our rulers and the families going in their families, their behaviors of this, and their taxation and the treatment of the poor and whatever else is just like, wow. It's what I'm saying. There are these loops they've been going around in for centuries. Wow. And they're doing the same thing, just slightly different, but the same thing. And they're completely not aware of the programs they're carrying. It's just repetitive, but it's like computers. People are just running around. They literally are. They're like robots, actually. When you wake up, you realize it's fascinating. Even when I go in public and you see, because you're still in the collective mind, that's why you see these fashion trends. Everyone's running around with the same sort of shoes on and everything, and you're like looking at them because you can see, because they are in the collective unconscious. They're in that collective mind space. It's like there's different densities of thought forms, but literally everyone's running around and they're wearing these shoes, and that's why every now and then I look at people and all of a sudden I see a whole lot of girls all wearing the same kind of shoes and the same kind of thing, and you're right. The collective mind, or it's like, it's just complete zone. It's like it's almost the bodies are like robots. They're completely unconscious in their running program. They're just like robots. It's fascinating to watch, and you realize when you're caught with your pro, it's just robotic behavior. And this is what we're seeing out there. Governments, leaders, I mean, it's so clear to see their patterns and programs running, and they have no clue. Even though it's like out there, the history, you're like, but there's not being able to see, you see. Wow. This is the thing. I don't know, people, but if you can, on your pages and things, is to spread like solutions. I don't know. You're like, wow, you see this, you see, when they do things, and I say, what Deepak Chopra or whatever said, I hope I've got that right, pronounced it right, hope so. Anyway, it's no thing meant wrong, but if you look at that, I mean, and you actually just see insanity. As I said, he looks out there and it's like, but not in a nasty way, but it's just, yeah, it's just, you just see, wow, it's just like, just, wow. Yeah, it is a show. It is, but if you look at it at another level, you realize that the suffering that they're causing themselves, because they're stuck in karmic patterns, they have to heal that, and they're just adding more to it. That what you do to another is the same thing. So they just, compounding it and to others, because I'm saying this is what happened on the planet, and it's me suffering and causing more to you, and it's like this vicious cycle going around and round of, but not realizing they're going to have to wake up. And it's a lot of peeling to get rid of all that programming and stuff to wake up. You got to release all of it, everything, actually, basically all knowledge, everything you've ever learned, you can throw in the dustbin, because it's all the program. It's all programmed. It's all, as I say, like computer. It's just a program. It's not. There's no truth to any of it. I don't know what to say, people, sorry. Who knows, but you're desperately seeking out there for those to help. You just like want to, but then when you see that the governments, they just don't, there's no, even for people to approach them, to share their ideas, they want to ban protests, but I understand, I think they're also outdated protests, but they need to have an avenue, and to realize you can't ignore 99% of the population and only listen to business. This is a huge, it's like a horse, when you go to the races you put those things on horses, I can't remember the name of them, blinkers, whatever they are, so the horse can't see the horse next to him. This is what they like when you talk to them. I mean, they are so, I don't know if any of you have awakened, you phone people sometimes as well, and they are just whatever, parroted, they've learned. That's what I'm saying. It's like a robot. When you awake, you actually see people as robots. When they're very in a program, they're not awake. They do come like, the body behaves like a robot. And they talk to you, and they'll repeat the policy, whatever they've learned, the company policy or whatever else, and they take it very seriously. And that's it. But there's no... So you see, you talk like that. You cannot question it. You're not allowed to listen to maybe another angle, or realize maybe it's not actually whatever you're saying. Blah, 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 doesn't mean it makes sense or as intelligent, or it's like any, you know what I mean. But it's like they just no, this is it, and this is a policy, and they cannot hear. It's like that program is like that. That's what I'm saying. The frequency, there's no, and you look at them and you're like, you can hear what's coming out their mouth, and they don't see the dysfunction in it, and you're like, what? So, some of the things you just shake your head, and you're like, that doesn't make any sense. So it's just like, it's not, you know what I mean? And you would like, so I'm saying, from a helpful thing, you can see things where you want to tell people, oh no, but you can do that, you know, but why? They can't. It's no. Wow, anyway. I don't know what to say. For those that are awake, yes, you hold peace here. You understand it's the one. That's what I'm saying. It's like a paradox. Yes, you understand that is you. That's why there is love. And that's also why there can be sadness, because you understand what you are doing to yourself and others is just prolonging it. There's no getting out of this, and then make it, you know, you can suffer more. You're entangling and you don't want to see suffering in anything, in anyone, you see. Because they aren't. This is what this is. It's totally delusional to think that you are a separate anything in a separate world or separate anything. That's what I'm saying. This is why you laugh even when you see how we've become separate, like a house separate with a wall around it. Each house has got its own fence. Is everything separate? Box, my house, my this, my land. You know what I mean? It's like all divide. There's this division where there's no division. It's completely delusional. There's no separation, anything, not even a separate person that exists. Anyway. So spread into the field, seeing it's one mind, because it is one consciousness, and it is a field, collective field. So maybe I thought by spreading the solutions, putting out solutions into the field, that it becomes available as some pickup, to tune into, like anything you downloads. They come into the field. If you download them into the field, then others they can access solutions. So if we start spreading the solutions out there, we're putting it into the field, because there's some people, this one, you can see dysfunctions, but like the schooling thing, and it's not like involved in that. Some people have maybe more, whatever because it's their draw and their passion, whatever, they work in it. This one hasn't, but it's just obvious. You realize, oh my gosh, and because you had to suffer through some of that. We're all very dysfunctional, especially in the 60s. Ooh. So now you even see it, clearly it's like, hasn't changed much. You see what we are doing and how we are programming the children is like, wow. Teaching them not to trust their own bodies, that that's not important. You can't go to the toilet when you need to, and things like that, and drink when you want. You know what I mean? It's expecting, like I'm saying, expecting them to perform like a computer, little bots and because this is what how the bodies are behaving. They just program. They're running a program. When you talk to them, you're like, you can't actually. Some of you might know. It's not conversations you can really have. Different wavelength. Yeah. You don't see. You shake your head sometimes when you see things, and you're like, but there's no sense. Do you realize that doesn't make any sense what you said? No. You laugh. It is in a funny level. Sometimes you can laugh at some of the things you're like, maybe some lawyer told you that, but did anyone look up that it made any? No. So people, they're suffering. You want to alleviate it. The way we do everything, the way we do our schooling is like completely backwards. The way we do punishment just doesn't make any sense. How would you punish someone who's already suffering? There's dysfunction programs, ancestral things, trauma they're stuck in. They wouldn't behave like that. So if you punish them, it only makes it worse. And they can come back, never mind, in another body. You see, we're not getting rid of the actual thing. There's no separate one either. We understand. You see, you wouldn't punish them if you know it's you. It's God, yourself, appearing as somebody else. Simple.